Good morning students. Today we will be going with part 2. So in the part 2 we will be studying many other topics as well. We are doing chapter number 1, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. So we will be starting with industrial sector on the eve of independence. So basically first we will be going through systematic deindustrialization. So systematic deindustrialization means status of industrial sector during the British period. So two things we would be noting down. First is the discriminative tariff policy, which will be see through, and second is the lack of investment opportunities or the bleak growth in the modern industry. As now we will be studying the first basic topic is the decay of handicrafts. How decay of handicrafts had occurred. So first going through discriminative tariff policy of the state. So what happened, basically we have known that Britishers had free export of raw materials from India, and they used to impose heavy duty on those raw materials. Whereas when it comes to imports of the foreign products, they had given free import duty while coming the products into India. So what was the consequences? British products started gaining in the Indian markets, and the Indian products started losing in the domestic as well as the foreign markets. When I go for the disappearance of the princely courts, at that period of time, before British rulers, there were Rajas, Maharajas who used to patronize handicrafts, that is Indian handicrafts. But the beginning of the British rule implied the end of royal courts. What was the consequence? Handicrafts started decaying. Proceeding on with competition from machine-made products. So the products which were made with the help of machine, they had a lower cost of production, which gave a stiff competition to the Indian handicrafts. The consequence was Indian craftsmen were forced to shut down the enterprises. When we say new patterns of demand, it was owing to the impact of British culture. A new group was formed in India in order to adopt the Western lifestyle, and suddenly the demand pattern has changed. What was the consequence? The Indian industry was beginning to perish. Proceeding towards the next topic, that is introduction of railways in India. Now with the introduction of railways, the size of the markets for low-cost British products expanded while it started shrinking for the high-cost Indian products. So basically, British government converted the Indian economy into a colonial market and exploited the Indian markets, which was one of the reasons for the handicraft industry in India, which was finally perishing. Now we will be studying small hope in the growth of modern industry. So basically, under the British Raj, modern industry saw only small growth. It was only in the second half of the 19th century that the modern industry showed its emergence. So there were three observations which was under consideration. The first observation was industries established by the private entrepreneurs, like Tisco was one of them. It was established in order to wake the worldwide scarcity of industrial goods. Why? In the during of World War I and II. Second is the size of the markets had increased, which was confined to few areas for the British products like railways, power generation, development of ports, communication. Absence of capital goods of industries suggests that there was no capital goods industries worth the name, because in the absence of this industries, industrialization was not possible in India, which remained lopsided. Proceeding towards the foreign trade under the British rule. Now India has acquainted eminence under foreign rule, but the Britishers came and ended that. Now we will be seeing the three observations that how they have done it. First was the net exporter of primary products and importer of finished goods. India became net exporter of raw materials like raw silk, cotton, wool, jute, sugar, etc. And it also became the net importer of finished goods for the foreign goods. So the composition of export and import reflects the backwardness of the Indian economy. When I go for monopoly control, basically Britishers were handling India's trade. Now, surplus trade, which was only beneficial for the Britishers, it was not used for the growth, but basically payments of administrative expenses of the British government and expenses of wars, which had led to huge drain of wealth in India. Proceeding towards the demographic profile during the British rule. As you have seen that I have not mentioned any factual data, it would be different in different texts. Proceeding towards birth rate and death rate. So birth rate and death rate was high in the country, which suggests poverty. Infant mortality rate was also high, which had a sign of poor health care. Life expectancy, which was low and due to lack of awareness. Literacy rate was also low, which reflects the social backwardness as well as the gender bias of the country. Now proceeding towards infrastructure on the eve of independence. Now infrastructure is the elements of economic change as well as social change which serve as a foundation for growth and development of a country. So basically economic change has banking, power, energy, means of transport, whereas social change is growth of education, health, housing facilities. Now, the state of India's infrastructure on the eve of independence can be described in terms of the following observation. First was railways, which was kind of transport for finished goods and services. Ports were developed in order to handle exports and imports of the foreign products. Post telegraph system was to enhance the administrative efficiency, and roads were basically prepared for transformation of raw materials. Concluding with the last topic, was there any positive impact of the British rule? The observation was commercial outlook of the farmers. Farmers started considering the market price of the product rather than the base price. There were new opportunities of employment. How? Spread of railways and roadways had opened up new opportunities for economic and social growth. Control of famine. How? Due to rapid transport, there was rapid movement of food grains. Next, monetary system of exchange. From barter system to monetary system of exchange, people started monetary exchange. Efficient system of administrations. That means the British government in India left a legacy of an efficient administration. If you have any doubt, do let me know. Thank you.